Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock on Saturday the 13th of June. Just making my way down to the land, a little bit delayed today. The road I normally use was closed, so I had a half-hour detour, but I'm now back on track. So what we're going to get done today? Not quite sure, let's find out. Well, here we are, down on the land, and I just thought I'd start off by mentioning these trees. You remember that last year, when this was more of a jungle than a field, I deliberately worked my way around all of the trees, or as many as I possibly could, to leave them in. And this week's been a bit wet and wild, lots of rain, which the land did need. And the more I come down and visit, the more I notice how well the trees are doing. There's the odd one or two here and there, like this one for some reason, which has been completely broken over. Don't quite know how that's occurred, but in general everything is putting on quite a bit of growth. It's going to be real nice over the next couple of years to watch all of these trees start to sprout and mature and get bigger and bigger. Can't wait for that. Lots of shelter and cover, particularly for the cabin and polytunnel. But yeah, I just thought I'd start off with that. Whilst on the subject of trees, previous videos, you remember I have planted a few fruit trees in this little section down here, latest of which was a small cherry tree which has gone in, and I have had some problems with animals chewing on the trees. Fortunately, so far, and it's touch wood, nothing, no problems with this cherry tree. I did have the two apple trees, something was eating away at those. I was more than a bit concerned that I was going to lose these because there was quite some significant damage, and a lot of the new growth died off. But fortunately, all seems to be returning to normal. We're getting growth again. This one was hit all the way up the length of the tree, from way down here at the bottom all the way up, and including branches. And lots of those did die off, as you can see here. But again, fingers crossed, it seems to be recovering with some new growth. I planted a load of hazelnut trees around this what was to be a pond. Fail. It didn't retain water, and even with the rain we've had this last week, it still hasn't retained water. I think it is because it's very close. There's a dike just behind this hedgerow, and I think it's everything on the land is just draining from this corner straight past the pond and into that dike or drainage ditch. That really hot spell we had did trash my hazelnut trees. You can see they lost all of the good growth that was coming on. Again, I'm hoping there are signs of life, that they're not dead, they're just in recovery. The ones down this middle section seem to be okay, they're all still green. Fingers crossed they will recover. Anyway, enough talking. I'm going to get myself opened up and we'll see what we can do today. Something a little bit different today. I've been having issues outside on the vegetable garden with animals digging up in the raised beds, and also a few issues with not sure what it is, because something's been going to the toilet on the roof of the cabin. It looks a bit too big to be birds, but either way, somebody suggested I got one of these decoy owls to put on the cabin roof. The head spins around in the wind, allegedly. And they said that this produces good results. It stops birds and small animals, things like rabbits. They see this and panic and stay away, basically. So I'm going to pop that on the roof of the cabin at some point today. Well, there it is on the roof. Don't know whether it'll work or it won't work. One thing I will have to be careful of, though, a friend of mine, I've mentioned it a few times on the channel, a guy called Corford Hunter, he says that once that's up, I just need to watch out because the crows, and there are plenty of those around, will see that and they'll try and come down and chase it away. So I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing putting it on there. I guess we'll find out in due course. Certainly looks the part though. Let's see how we get on with it. Just been having a quick walk around to see what's out and about and to check on the wildlife feeder. You can see from the pile on the floor the squirrels have been scooping everything out of the feeder. Not quite sure how I can stop them doing that, I really don't know. But I just had a quick look inside to see how much had gone as a result of that scooping out by the squirrels, and I had a bit of a surprise when I opened the lid. So stand by, I'm just going to open the lid. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work for you, but it is interesting, I promise. We've got a little guest. There's a little field mouse in there. I don't know what he's thinking of. And I'm not sure how he's going to get out, to be honest, because we've got this wire mesh on the entrance. So how it got in and how it's going to get out, I have no clue, except for intervention by myself. Because he's not going to get out of there in a hurry, for sure. Anyway, I'll sort that out, but I just thought I'd share that with you. Well, you'll be pleased to know that the little field mouse was successfully retrieved from inside the wildlife feeder, and he scampered off into the woods, which is nice. I just made myself a quick cup of coffee, and I thought I'd just run round the planting with you. This little pot of pumpkin and squash progressing nicely, as is the Jerusalem artichokes. Got the polytunnel open because there's only a very, very light wind today, which is great. So let's have a quick pop inside and see what's happening with that. Fig tree. Got high hopes for that over the coming years if I keep it inside the polytunnel. Some young strawberries there. The plants that went in, I don't know if you remember or not, I did have my doubts. But perseverance, they are coming on, as are the tomatoes, which are putting on quite a bit of growth. Indeed, I'm going to have to tie up some of these. They're getting bigger and bigger. I am pinching out the little side shoots as I go along, so to promote upward growth rather than bush-like growth. Those carrots are coming on very well. They can be going outside fairly shortly, I suspect, because they are putting on quite a substantial bit of growth now. There's a little blueberry bush there, another kind of squash, and then look at this. The cucumbers are going crazy, putting out flowers everywhere, and indeed working their way up that plastic netting that I put in. I'm going to spend a bit of time today just going through these to do the same as the tomatoes and pluck out any side shoot growth. Even if you can see or not, we've got the main stem coming out, you've got the tendril coming out, and then in the branch for the main stem you've got the flower to produce the cucumber, and then you've got these little side shoots. So these side shoots need to be nipped out again to promote upward growth, vertical growth, rather than them turning into bushes. So I'll spend a bit of time also with those today. Peas, I'm not sure what's going on with these peas. They are putting out lots of flowers and pods, look. So I've got a small pea pod there coming out. There's another one there coming out. Another one there coming out. They're not, what I would say, taking off. I mean, they're growing, and clearly they're not too upset because they're producing flowers and pods. They just don't seem to be as vigorous. Perhaps that's just me over expectation. Might not seem like a enormous success, but it is. This is just a cutting I took off an elderberry tree. There are quite a lot of them on the edge of that little bit of woodland on the boundary of the field, and it was a bit of an experimentation really, just to see what would happen. And as you can see, not only is it putting out some nice new growth at the top, the summer bit that we had, those 3 weeks or so of mega hot temperatures, I thought this had died off. You can see from these brown leaves here, which were the original leaves off the cutting that I took, but clearly not, because it's even putting on side shoots. So this is something I'm complete novice at, taking cuttings off trees. Elderberry you can do a lot with. You can make wine from the flowers, you can make medicinal linctus with the berries. So I am keen to grow a few more of these and get some established on the field rather than in the woodland. And it's working. It's going to be a long experiment, because clearly it takes years and years to grow trees rather than just weeks or months for plants. But hey, what to do? Progress is progress. Last few stray tomato plants still surviving in those trays. I don't know how they're doing that, but they are. And then there's a bit bigger elderberry. I've got elderberry on the brain. A bit bigger blueberry bush. Now when I got this and put it in, it was looking very sorry for itself. But it is putting on new growth, and it is actually putting on berries. In fact, down here there's quite a few berries. So yeah, progress in the polytunnel, looking very nice. Back outside again, really pleased with these potatoes. You'll remember from previous videos that they got decimated by that weird frost we had, very late frost, back in April, was it? April or May, I can't remember now. Anyway, whatever, they're coming and they're now producing flowers, which is great. The last barrel that I put in for succession planting is sprouting through, coming on with some quite real strong growth here. These are going to need a bit more compost to cover them up shortly. Ignore the raised bed for a second, just go back to these small raised beds. No matter what I do, I still get visitors in here digging into the compost. I have no clue why they're doing that, because they're not touching the plants. If they were eating the plants I could understand it, but they're not. They're just digging bloody big holes down here. It's bizarre. I've covered this up twice this week as I've called in to do a bit of watering in the polytunnel on the way back from work, and they keep coming back. I have tried deterring them by, I hate to say this on video, but going to the toilet around the outside of the raised bed to put a bit of human scent in the ground. Clearly they just stuck their fingers up and said, we're not interested, you're not scaring us. Similarly, the squash, again, they've been digging down here, but again not eating the plants, which is a bit bizarre. In terms of growth, they're healthy and strong. They don't seem to be putting on too much growth though. It's a bit bizarre, or is it? I don't know. It's the first time I've done these. Maybe you can tell me. I know that pumpkin is a winter crop, so is this normal growth at this stage of the year? Don't really know. If you do, you can let me know in the comments section, obviously. Broccoli, cauliflower, very, very strong. This netting that I put up, doing exactly what it should have done to keep the critters out. Having said that though, the ones that are closest to the edge, something's obviously been going through the netting to have a nibble and eat the leaves. But so long as they don't break the netting through and get into the bed itself, I'm quite content for them to have a little bit here and there, which again they clearly are on here. But yeah, growth is real well. That second bed, you remember I had doubts whether that would survive or not from that frost we had earlier in the year. As with potatoes, it did really impact on this bed, but as you can see, it's all coming up strongly, and I'll have some nice succession cropping, I think, from these two beds. Last bed, carrots doing very, very well, and these remaining broccoli, cauliflower that I put in also doing well. This bed will have the carrots out, the polytunnel going into it shortly. Now that the weather's, well, there shouldn't be a frost, but who knows. And finally, these 2-year-old carrots, look at that, that needs to come out. I don't know quite how he's got inside there with a shell that size, but he has. He's inside rather than outside, so we need to sort him out. Yeah, they're flowering away quite nicely, and we'll get some seed off those this year, just to go into the seed storage tubs that I've got. Anyway, that's the veg garden. It's nice to see the progress there. Really nice morning this morning. Bit misty, bit damp, but no big winds to contend with, no big rains at this stage to contend with. So I'm going to get on with a few jobs. Just been busy going through the tomato plants and taking off the side shoots. There's quite a few little side shoots on those smaller plants. I've been keeping on top of the, or trying to keep on top as they're growing. And you can see we've got flowers coming now on the tomato plants. Quite a few of these have started putting out flower buds, so that's really nice. Actually got some proper flowers there on this one, and again, so all of these larger ones have got the flower buds coming, so fruit is on the way, which is really exciting. I'm going to start tackling the cucumbers now I've done the tomatoes. Again, it's really encouraging to see the flowers coming on these, so again, fruit is not far away. So I'm going to just busy myself for, I don't know, half an hour or so, just plucking out some of these side shoots. I do want to try on this watering system. That original one is working clearly, because the water level of the tank's dropped and it's gone into the actual plants. I've been watching it over the weeks dripping away. It's still not 100% though, and I do need to do something on this side as well. So as you saw in a previous video, I've got a couple of pumps that I'm playing with. The hardest thing really, we're still on lockdown, well, quasi semi lockdown. So lots of places are shut, and it seems a bit daft, but things like, you know, plastic water pipe, hard to get hold of. I think half the world has gone into gardening mode at home, and they're taking everything. I had a saga with paint the other week, you'll remember, trying to get that. So yeah, stuff is still difficult to get hold of. The shower in the cabin equally. I've still that shop that sells the plastic sheeting for that still isn't open. So it is delaying things. It's a bit frustrating from time to time, but when I see things like this, you know, plants flowering and starting to produce fruit, I think, well, you know, it can wait. There's always something else to be doing. I'm just busy laying out the irrigation, the watering system for this side of the polytunnel. It is a fiddly, time-consuming job, jointing all of these bits of pipe together and cutting off the branches to put in the actual water nozzles that drip or spray, depending on how much you need, the water into the actual plant pots themselves. These have got different settings, so you can have it on a big spray, or if you turn it right down it just gives a little drip drip drip. So yeah, I'm busy stringing my watering pipes along this end of the polytunnel. They have like a little a support stem there for the actual nozzle part, and then that just pops into the plant pot wherever it is that you want the water to go, as close to the roots as you can, I guess, at the root ball. So that'll keep me busy as I wend my way along the polytunnel. Okay, so we've got the existing watering system down this side. You can see it stringing along from plant to plant with these little sprinkler type affairs. So that side's been working fairly well on this gravity fed automatic system, but it's not perfect. And this half of the polytunnel hadn't been done, so I've strung all the way along all of the plants all the way down this side, all the way down, and what I've done, this is experimentation, work in progress. Got the old battery box, you've seen that before, to give me some 12 volt power. I've dropped a little submersible pump. It is only tiny, don't know if you'll see it or not in there. Oh, you can see it. Onto there, so we'll give it a test. So you can hear that filling up the system, and already it's drip feeding on this side. You can see that. So yeah, these need turning down, adjusting for the amount of water coming through, because that one's clearly going way too fast. But there we go. We've got water all the way down. You can't see it under there, you can see it here though. So these just need turning down, or up, depending on what's coming through. But clearly it's working. So that's good news. So now I know I can get water to all of the plants, irrespective of where they are. I just need to figure out how to do it without me being here to flick the switch. I have got a timer in the cabin, so I'm going to have a little play with that. Well, this has been a bit fiddly. Same battery box. I've got a 12 volt timer that you can set to program, turn itself on and off at different times on different days. So I'm just going to give this a test. Hopefully at 13:28 it's going to turn itself on. And as if by magic it has. I don't know if you heard the pump kick in or not. So let's have a little look and see if we've got any. Yep, it's filling up the water pipes now and drip feeding, if you can see that or not, for all the foliage. So all the way to the end, which it is, and this one, and you can obviously set these to how much water you want to come out at any given time. Same on this side. So if you can see or not, actually, can you see that dripping? Yeah, you can. So that's good. It's working all the way down. So that timer then I can set to turn itself on and off different times, different days of the week. So the theory works. I suspect, however, the more I think about it, I might have an issue here, because that will, when the pump goes off, I have a feeling it might still, through siphon action, it might still keep the water coming. I don't know. We'll see. But the timer works, which is the primary objective. That should turn itself off again. If you can see that red lighter there or not. Well, you can just. You can't see the timer, but you can see the light there. Do you hear it click off and the light's gone off? So, theory works. So, one way or another, we'll be using that to self-water the polytunnel. And that will save me having to panic every day whether it needs water or not, because it'll have it. Well, this rain we've had is making the grass grow quite quickly, so I'm going to have a little run round with a little red tractor just to try and keep on top of it. I do every so often, I'll just do a little piece. You can see the thistles around where I've parked the tractor at the back of the cabin. They're all shooting up. Thistles are loving this, so I need to get them down and keep on top of it. So it'll just keep me out of mischief for an hour or so. I won't do any more than that because it is still quite a bit wet on the grass, so I'll just do enough to keep on top of it every so often. Just given the little red tractor a rest. I've cut quite a lot of grass actually, because the sun came out. So I've gone all the way up to the top of the field and then across to where the car's parked. So nice job done. As usual, the day's flying by, but it's like a completely different day compared to this morning. Sun's got out, so I've cracked on with a bit more grass, got all this side next to the woodland done, all the way to the end, and then I've just literally finished this other side, the northern side. So that's all cut down. Out of breath because I've just been emptying the the grass into the compost bins, but that's looking amazing. As always, centre section's the last bit to get done. I am gradually making my way into that with the tractor and just trying to cut down these anthill, molehills, wherever the hell they are, these things, so that eventually in time I'll be able to go over all of this with the tractor. It still takes a long time because there's a lot of grass, but having that, I can't imagine trying to trim all this or do it with a normal lawnmower. Just I'd be there all year, whereas in a couple of hours I can get this done. So it's looking pretty amazing. I'm really pleased, and I'm even more pleased that I've had the chance to do it with this bit of sunshine. So there's not much left to be done now. A couple of little tidy up jobs in the cabin. I don't even know what time it is, but it is getting on. So I might do those. You know me, there's always one last thing, isn't there? So we'll get cracking. If you remember the frogs from last year, even though I've cut the grass this morning, they're still here. Just hiding. Very nice. The one thing I did want to do was finish off these large cupboards that I put in the other week. You'll remember I didn't have the door furniture for it. Now I have. That's a rare selection. So I'm just going to get cracking and get some bolts and some hasps put on there, and then it can be secured. That's the first one done. Bolt and a hasp so I can lock it up. Just do this bottom one and that'll be about it. Well, that's the cabinets with the bolts and hasps on, top and bottom. So that's good. It's starting to look a little bit more like now, with decent storage space in there. So we're gradually getting there. These little jobs all add up in the end. But talking about ends, the day's rapidly coming to an end. So I'm just going to pop little red tractor back in the garage. It's had a chance to cool down now, and then I'll get myself all locked up and ready for home. Well, that's another day gone. It's unbelievable where the time goes. Cabin's locked up. Grass is looking real nice. Really nice. Polytunnel's also closed up for the day. Everything's out of water. The outside hasn't, because it's been raining this week. This sunshine's kind of caught everybody off guard. Weren't expecting this at all. But it is forecast for rain again, so I'm not going to water. If we don't get any overnight, I can always pop down tomorrow and water the raised beds. So that's it for another day. It is incredible how quickly the time passes by. I keep saying that, but it's true. But I'm really pleased I got that grass down. I was wondering when I was going to be able to do it. And this morning was extremely wet, still underfoot, but thankfully this sun's just come at the right time to get it done. So, more progress. Very happy indeed.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope you found something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also, feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. What do you think of the decoy owl? Do you think it's going to work, or do you think it's just going to cause problems? Let me know in the comment section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.